chosen one. Something has just shifted in the unseen, and the fact that you are here right now is the evidence that your moment of revelation has begun. This is not a random video, anointed one. This is a divine interruption. Heaven has aligned this exact second, because there is something about your identity that can no longer remain hidden. For too long you have carried the weight of not belonging, the quiet, knowing that your life was never meant to follow ordinary patterns. That feeling was not confusion, it was memory. Chosen one. You were not born into limitation. You were born into a royal spiritual bloodline, a lineage marked, preserved, and set apart by God Himself. And just as it is written in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, there's a time for everything, and your time to remember who you are has now arrived. The struggles you endured were not delays, they were preparation. The isolation was not rejection, it was protection. You were hidden because your identity carries power, and power must be revealed at the appointed time. If this message has found you, it is because your awakening is no longer approaching, it is happening. And what you are about to understand next will change how you see your entire life forever. Something within you has already begun to rise, and you can feel it, even if you cannot fully explain it yet. Chosen one. This is not emotion, and it is not imagination. This is activation. The moment you heard these words, something ancient inside your spirit responded, because truth recognizes truth before the mind can process it. You have carried a quiet awareness your entire life, a feeling that you were placed here, but never fully from here. You tried to ignore it at times. You tried to fit into environments that felt unnatural. You tried to silence the inner voice that kept reminding you that there was more. But it never left you. That knowing followed you through every stage of your life, through every disappointment, through every moment where nothing made sense. And now you are beginning to understand why. Anointed one, you are not discovering something new. You are remembering something that was hidden. There is a difference. Discovery comes from outside, but remembrance rises from within. That is why this moment feels so personal, so direct, so undeniable, because what is being revealed to you is not information. It is identity. There is a reason your life has never followed a normal path. There is a reason you have felt misunderstood, even in places that were supposed to feel like home. There is a reason you have walked through seasons where it seemed like everything was being stripped away from you. It was not random, it was not punishment, it was preparation. Because royalty is not raised in comfort, it is refined through process. You have gone through things that others could not endure, not because you were meant to suffer, but because you were being shaped. Every moment of isolation taught you how to stand without validation. Every betrayal taught you how to see beyond appearances. Every delay trained you to trust something deeper than what your eyes could see. And even when you did not understand it, something within you refused to break. Pause for a moment and recognize this. There were times you should have given up. Times you should have lost yourself completely. Times where the weight of everything around you should have crushed your spirit. But it didn't. You bent, but you did not collapse. You questioned, but you did not disconnect. You struggled, but you did not disappear. That was not your strength alone. That was your bloodline speaking. Chosen one. The world has tried to define you based on what it can measure. Your background, your circumstances, your current position. But your origin does not come from what the world can see. Your origin is spiritual, your assignment is divine, and what has been hidden is now being revealed. There is a moment that comes in every chosen life where the illusion can no longer hold, where the identity you were given by the world begins to crack, where the version of yourself that tried to survive no longer feels sustainable. You may have felt that recently. That discomfort, that restlessness. That sense that something is shifting but you cannot fully grasp it yet. That is not confusion. That is transition. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 says, "There is a time for everything, and you have now entered the time of awakening." Not the beginning of it, but the moment where it becomes undeniable, the moment where you can no longer return to who you were before. And this is where many hesitate, because once you begin to remember who you are, everything starts to change. The way you see people changes. The way you see yourself changes. The things you once tolerated begin to feel unbearable. The environments you once tried to fit into begin to feel restrictive. You start to outgrow spaces without warning, and that can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like loss. It can feel like separation. But it is actually alignment, because you cannot carry a royal identity and remain in places that require you to shrink. You are not being removed. You are being repositioned. There are people who will not understand this shift in you. They will say you are changing. They will say you are becoming distant. They will say you are not the same person anymore, and for once they will be right, because you are not the same. The version of you that tried to belong is fading. The version of you that doubted your own value is dissolving. The version of you that accepted less than your true identity is being replaced. And what is emerging is something they cannot control. Here is the truth most will never tell you. When you begin to awaken to your divine identity, resistance will increase, not because you are doing something wrong, but because you are becoming aware. And awareness breaks control. There are systems, patterns, and even relationships that were comfortable with the version of you that did not know who you were, but they will struggle to remain once you step into truth. That is why you have felt tension. That is why certain things have started to fall away. That is why some doors closed without explanation. It was not rejection, it was release. You are being pulled out of what was never meant to hold you. And this is only the beginning. Because once identity is revealed, purpose begins to activate. And when purpose activates, provision begins to follow. Not random provision, but intentional alignment. The right people, the right opportunities, the right doors opening at the right time. But before that happens fully, there is something you must first accept. You are not who you thought you were, and until you truly accept that, you will continue to hesitate at the edge of your own transformation. Something is unfolding right now, and you can feel it building. Not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily, like something beneath the surface preparing to rise. And what comes next will require more than awareness. It will require acceptance. There is a moment that follows awareness where everything becomes intensely personal, and you are standing in that moment right now. Chosen one. It is no longer about hearing the truth, it is about accepting it. Because truth that is not accepted cannot transform you. And this is where many hesitate, not because they do not feel the shift, but because accepting who they truly are means letting go of who they believed they had to be. You have learned how to survive in a world that did not recognize you. You adapted, you adjusted, you made yourself smaller in certain spaces just to maintain peace. You tolerated environments that drained you because you thought that was part of life. You questioned your own instincts because others could not understand them. But now, something inside you is refusing to continue that pattern. Something inside you is no longer willing to compromise your identity for acceptance. That is not rebellion. That is alignment. Anointed One, acceptance of your divine identity will not feel comfortable at first. It will feel like standing alone in a room where you once blended in. It will feel like outgrowing conversations that once held your attention. It will feel like waking up to realities you can no longer ignore. And in those moments you may question yourself. You may wonder if you are going too far, if you are changing too much, if you are losing connections that once felt important. But let this settle within you. You're not losing what was meant for you. You are releasing what could not grow with you. There is a shift that happens when you stop asking for permission to be who you were created to be. You stop waiting for validation. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You begin to move differently, not out of pride, but out of clarity. Because when identity becomes clear, hesitation begins to fade. And this is where your life begins to reposition itself. You will start noticing that things you once chased begin to come toward you. Not because you are trying harder, but because you are aligning deeper. Opportunities will begin to appear in ways that feel almost too precise to be coincidence. Conversations will open doors you did not plan for. Ideas will come to you with a clarity that feels guided rather than forced. This is what happens when identity and purpose begin to connect. But do not misunderstand this moment. This is not about instant comfort. This is about divine alignment. Proverbs chapter 3 verses 5 and 6 speaks about trusting with all your heart and not leaning on your own understanding. This is that moment. Because your natural mind will try to make sense of everything that is happening, but this shift is not logical. It is spiritual. It is a realignment that was set in motion long before you became aware of it. You may have already noticed that your tolerance for certain things has disappeared. What you once accepted now feels heavy. What you once ignored now stands out clearly. What you once tried to fix now feels like something you must release. This is not you becoming difficult. This is you becoming discerning. There is a difference. And discernment is one of the clearest signs that your royal identity is activating. You are beginning to see beyond appearances. You are beginning to sense intentions before they are spoken. You are beginning to understand situations without needing full explanations. That is not something you learned. That is something you are remembering, because your bloodline carries awareness that does not depend on surface-level information. That is why you have always felt ahead of certain situations, even when you could not explain why. Now, here is where it becomes even more important. As your awareness increases, your responsibility increases with it. Because you can no longer pretend not to see what you see. You can no longer return to environments that you know are not aligned. You can no longer shrink yourself to maintain comfort for others. You are being called to stand in your identity fully. And yes, there will be resistance. Not just from the outside, but from within. Old habits will try to pull you back. Familiar patterns will try to make you second-guess your growth. You may even feel moments of doubt, moments where you question if you are ready for this level of change. That is normal, because stepping into your true identity will always require leaving behind a version of yourself that felt safe but was never complete. Think about a time in your life when you knew something was no longer right, but you stayed anyway because it was familiar. You knew the environment was not growing you, but it was comfortable. You knew the connection was not aligned, but it was consistent. That tension you felt, that quiet inner conflict that was your identity trying to surface, and now it is no longer quiet. Chosen one. This is the point where your life begins to separate into two paths. One path leads back to what is known predictable and limiting. The other path leads forward into what is unfamiliar, expanding, and aligned with your true nature. You cannot walk both. And deep within you already know which one you are being pulled toward. But here is what most people do not realize. The moment you choose alignment, you activate a response in the unseen. Things begin to move that you cannot yet see. Doors begin to prepare themselves before they open. People begin to be positioned before you meet them. Opportunities begin to form before they appear in your reality. This is not something you control. This is something you enter. And you are already at the edge of it. The question is not whether this is real. The question is whether you are ready to fully step into it without hesitation, because what comes next will require more than belief. It will require trust in a process that you cannot fully predict. And once that process begins, there will be no returning to who you used to be. What begins to unfold after acceptance is something most people are not prepared for because it does not look like immediate reward. It looks like disruption. Chosen one. Once you step into alignment with who you truly are, the first thing that often happens is not addition, it is separation. And if you do not understand this, you may mistake divine movement for loss. There are things in your life right now that cannot follow you into your next level. Not because they are evil, but because they are not aligned. Some connections were built for a version of you that no longer exists. Some environments were only meant to hold you during a season of preparation. Some patterns were necessary for survival, but they were never meant to define your future. And when your identity shifts, those things begin to fall away. This is where many become confused. They think something is going wrong because things are becoming uncomfortable. They think they are losing stability because certain relationships change or certain doors close. But what is actually happening is refinement. You are being separated from what cannot sustain your calling. Anointed one. There is a difference between being rejected and being redirected. What feels like rejection is often protection. What feels like loss is often repositioning. And what feels like isolation is often divine focus being restored in your life. You are being brought into a season where distraction can no longer lead you. Think about how many times in your life your attention was pulled in different directions. How many times you invested energy into things that did not return growth. How many times you stayed in cycles that kept repeating without producing anything new. That season is ending. You are being called into clarity. And clarity requires space. That is why the noise is being reduced. That is why certain voices are becoming distant. That is why some environments no longer feel comfortable. It is not because you are losing connection. It is because your spirit is being brought into alignment with truth. Isaiah chapter 60 verse 1 speaks about arising and shining because your light has come. But light cannot fully shine in spaces that are filled with confusion. There must be separation before there is full expression. And this is the stage you are walking through now. You may feel moments where everything seems quiet. Moments where you are not sure what is coming next. Moments where you are standing between what was and what is forming. That space can feel uncertain, but it is not empty. It is preparation in motion. There are things being arranged that you cannot yet see. There are connections being aligned that have not yet crossed your path. There are opportunities forming that have not yet revealed themselves. And while all of that's happening, you are being strengthened internally. Because what's coming requires capacity. It requires a level of awareness that's not easily shaken. It requires a level of discipline that's not easily distracted. It requires a level of identity that is not easily influenced by external opinions. And this is where your past begins to make sense. Every difficult season you went through was building something within you. Every delay was increasing your endurance. Every challenge was sharpening your discernment. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. You were being built for something specific. And now that you are stepping closer to it, the pressure may feel different. It may feel more intense, more focused, more direct. That is because you are no longer in a general season. You are in a targeted one. There is intention behind what you are experiencing now. You may have noticed that certain situations repeat until you respond differently. That certain lessons return until you fully understand them. That certain patterns show themselves clearly until you choose to break them. This is not coincidence. This is refinement. Because you cannot carry old patterns into a new level of identity. Chosen one. There is something else you must recognize in this stage. As you are being separated from what no longer aligns, you may also begin to feel resistance. not always visible, not always obvious, but present. It may come in the form of doubt. It may come in the form of unexpected distractions. It may come in the form of people questioning your decisions or misunderstanding your direction. It may even come through your own thoughts, trying to pull you back into what is familiar. But do not mistake resistance for a sign to stop. Resistance often appears when movement is happening. Think about it. The moment you decide to grow something will try to keep you where you were. The moment you choose clarity, confusion will attempt to return. The moment you begin to step forward, something will try to remind you of your past. That is not because you are weak. It is because you are advancing, and advancement always meets resistance. But here is what sets you apart. You are no longer unaware of it. You are beginning to recognize patterns instead of being controlled by them. You are beginning to see cycles instead of being trapped in them. You are beginning to understand your own responses instead of reacting automatically. That awareness is power. And with that power, you now have a choice. You can return to what is familiar and remain where you were, or you can continue forward and step into what is being prepared for you. There is no middle ground, because once you see clearly, you cannot unsee, and once you understand, you cannot return to ignorance. You are moving into a phase where your decisions carry more weight, where your alignment matters more than your comfort, where your direction is no longer based on convenience, but on purpose. And this is where everything begins to accelerate. Not all at once, not in a way that overwhelms you, but in a way that confirms that you are on the right path. You will begin to notice signs that feel intentional, moments that feel guided, outcomes that feel aligned beyond your own effort. But before those become fully visible, there is one more layer that must be faced. A deeper level of resistance that does not come from your environment, but from within. And how you respond to that will determine how fully you step into what is already being prepared for you. There is a deeper layer that reveals itself once the external distractions begin to fall away, and it is not always easy to face. Chosen one. This is the moment where you come face to face with the internal resistance that has been quietly shaping your decisions for years. Not the resistance that comes from people or circumstances, but the one that lives within your own patterns, your own thoughts, your own conditioned identity. You may have already felt it, that subtle hesitation when you're about to step forward, that quiet voice that questions whether you are ready. That pull to return to what feels safe, even when you know it is no longer aligned. This is not weakness. This is the echo of everything you were taught to believe about yourself before you understood who you truly are. And this is where the real transformation begins. Anointed. One external opposition can slow you down, but internal misalignment can stop you completely. That is why this stage is so important. Because you are not just being separated from your past environments, you are being separated from the version of yourself that was shaped by those environments. You are unlearning survival. You are releasing identities that were built out of necessity but were never meant to define your future. The version of you that tolerated less, the version of you that doubted your instincts, the version of you that waited for permission, all of that is being confronted now. And it will not leave quietly. There may be moments where you feel pulled in two directions at once. One part of you moving forward with clarity, another part of you holding on to familiar patterns. You may find yourself questioning decisions that you already know are right. You may feel moments of fear, even when everything is aligning in your favor. This is the internal resistance surfacing. But here is what you must understand. Just because a thought appears does not mean it is truth. Just because a feeling rises does not mean it is direction. You are learning to distinguish between what was programmed and what is authentic, that is discernment on a deeper level. Romans chapter 12 verse 2 speaks about being transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is that renewal in real time. You are not just thinking differently, you are seeing differently. You are beginning to recognize where your thoughts come from, what they are connected to, and whether they align with your true identity. And once you see that clearly, you cannot be controlled by it in the same way again. There is a shift happening in how you respond to yourself. You are no longer automatically agreeing with your doubts. You are no longer accepting fear as instruction. You are beginning to pause, to observe, to question what once felt automatic. That pause is power. Because in that space you are choosing alignment instead of reaction. Think about how many decisions in your past were influenced by fear of losing something, fear of being alone, fear of not being understood. Now compare that to what is happening within you now. You are starting to choose based on truth instead of fear. You are starting to move based on clarity instead of comfort. That is a completely different way of living, and it is not something the old version of you can sustain. This is why you may feel like you are in between identities, not fully who you were, but not fully settled into who you are becoming. That space can feel unstable at times, but it is actually a sign of transformation. You are shedding layers. And shedding is not always comfortable. It can feel like losing parts of yourself, even when those parts were never meant to remain. It can feel like uncertainty, even when you are moving in the right direction. It can feel like isolation, even when you are being aligned with something greater. But do not misinterpret the feeling. You are not being lost. You are being refined. There is also something else happening in this stage that many overlook. As your internal alignment strengthens, your sensitivity increases. You begin to feel things more clearly. You begin to notice what is off more quickly. You begin to recognize energy, intention, and truth without needing long explanations. This is not making you vulnerable, it is making you aware. And awareness requires responsibility. Because now that you can sense what is aligned and what is not, you are accountable for how you respond to it. You can no longer say, "You did not know." You can no longer ignore what you feel. You can no longer pretend that something is right when it clearly is not. This is where your decisions begin to define your direction more than ever before. Chosen one. There will be moments where the old version of you tries to return through familiar thoughts. It may sound like doubt. It may sound like hesitation. It may sound like questioning your worth or your readiness. But listen closely. That voice is losing its authority. It is only as strong as your agreement with it. And you are no longer in agreement with what limits you. This is the turning point. Because once you stop agreeing with the version of yourself that was built around limitation, you begin to operate from a completely different place. A place where your identity is not negotiable. A place where your direction is not easily shaken. A place where your decisions are rooted in who you are, not in what you fear. And when that happens, alignment begins to accelerate. You will notice that what once felt difficult begins to feel natural, that what once required effort begins to flow, that what once felt uncertain begins to become clear. This is not because everything around you has changed instantly. It is because you have. And when you change at the level of identity, everything connected to you begins to respond. Opportunities begin to align with your clarity. People begin to respond to your presence differently. Situations begin to shift based on your decisions rather than your reactions. This is the beginning of authority. Not authority over others, but authority over your own direction. And this is where many start to see the first signs of manifestation. Not in overwhelming ways, but in precise, intentional moments. The right conversation at the right time. The right idea appearing when needed. The right connection forming without force. These are not random. They are confirmations. They are showing you that alignment is producing movement. But before this movement becomes fully visible in your external life, there is one more layer that must be solidified. Not your awareness, not your understanding, but your trust. Because what is about to unfold next will require you to move forward without needing to see the entire path in front of you. Trust is the point where everything either begins to flow or quietly stalls, and this is where you are being positioned now. Chosen one. You have gained awareness, you have felt the shift, you have begun separating from what no longer aligns, and you have started confronting the internal patterns that once controlled you. But now you are being asked to do something deeper. You are being asked to move forward without needing full confirmation from what you can see. This is where many pause, not because they are unsure of what they felt, but because they want clarity before movement. They want guarantees before commitment. They want to see the outcome before they take the step. But that is not how alignment works at this level. Faith does not follow visibility, it precedes it. Anointed One, you are entering a phase where direction will come in fragments, not full pictures. You will receive enough to take the next step, but not enough to map out the entire journey. And this is intentional. Because if you could see everything ahead, you would rely on logic instead of trust. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1 speaks of faith as the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. This is that exact moment unfolding in your life. You are being asked to trust what you feel before you fully understand what it will become. And that requires a different kind of strength. It requires releasing the need to control every outcome. It requires letting go of the habit of overanalyzing every decision. It requires stepping forward even when your mind is still trying to catch up with what your spirit already knows. You may have already experienced moments where you felt led to do something that did not fully make sense at the time, a decision that felt right even without clear reasoning. A shift that felt necessary even without visible evidence, and later you realized it placed you exactly where you needed to be. That was not coincidence. That was guidance. And now that guidance is becoming more direct. You will begin to notice that certain ideas stay with you longer than others. Certain directions feel stronger than others. Certain opportunities feel aligned even if they seem unfamiliar. This is not random thought, this is instruction forming. But instruction requires response, and this is where trust becomes action. Chosen One. There is a difference between knowing and moving. Many people receive insight but remain in the same place because they hesitate. They wait for perfect conditions. They wait for confirmation from others. They wait until it feels completely safe. But alignment does not wait for comfort. It responds to obedience. This does not mean reckless decisions. It means responsive movement. It means recognizing when something is aligned and choosing to step into it even if it stretches you. Because growth always stretches before it stabilizes. You may feel moments where you are stepping into something new and unfamiliar. Moments where you're leaving behind what you know without fully knowing what is next. That feeling can be unsettling, but it is also necessary, because you cannot expand while holding on to what limits you. Think about how many times in your life you stayed in something longer than you should have because it was familiar. A job, a relationship, a mindset, a routine. You knew it was no longer growing you, but it felt safer than stepping into the unknown. That pattern is breaking now. You are being moved into a space where your decisions are no longer based on fear of loss, but on alignment with purpose. And as you begin to trust that process, something powerful begins to happen. Provision starts to appear, not all at once, not in overwhelming ways, but in precise moments. The right resource showing up at the right time, the right connection appearing when needed, the right opportunity opening when you are ready to step into it. This is how divine provision operates. It meets movement. It does not flood inactivity. It aligns with direction. That is why waiting without movement often feels stagnant. Because you are being called to participate in what is unfolding, not just observe it. You're not being carried, you're being guided, and guidance requires cooperation. There will be moments where you take a step and only then see why it mattered. Moments where you make a decision and only later understand how it connected to something greater. Moments where you move forward and then realize that what you needed was already waiting on the other side of that decision. This is the rhythm you are entering. And as you continue to move in alignment, your confidence will not come from external validation. It will come from internal confirmation. You will begin to trust your own discernment. You will begin to recognize the difference between fear and misalignment. You will begin to move with a level of certainty that does not depend on approval. That is when authority strengthens. And with that authority, manifestation begins to increase. Not in a way that overwhelms you, but in a way that confirms your direction. You will start to see results that reflect your alignment. Not just in what you receive, but in what you attract, what you build, and what you become. Because manifestation at this level is not about gaining more. It is about becoming aligned with what is already yours. Chosen one. There is one thing you must hold on to in this phase. Not everything will make sense immediately. Not every step will feel clear at first. Not every outcome will match your expectations. But alignment does not require full understanding. It requires trust. And the more you trust, the more you will see movement, because what is being prepared for you is not something you can fully predict. It is something you are stepping into one decision at a time. And as this continues, you will begin to notice something even more significant. The resistance that once felt strong will begin to weaken, and the path that once felt uncertain will begin to open in ways you did not expect. What begins to happen after trust is established is something that changes not only your circumstances, but your entire way of experiencing life. Chosen one. This is where movement becomes visible. Not imagined, not hoped for, but real. The things that once felt distant begin to come into reach, and the doors that once felt sealed begin to open with a timing that feels too precise to be accidental. You may already be noticing it in subtle ways. Situations resolving faster than they used to. Conversations leading to unexpected opportunities. Ideas turning into tangible results without the same level of struggle you once experienced. This is not because life has suddenly become easier. It is because you are now aligned with how things are meant to flow. Alignment reduces resistance. Anointed one, there is a difference between forcing outcomes and stepping into prepared outcomes. For most of your life, you were taught to push, to strive, to chase. You were told that everything valuable required constant struggle, but what you are stepping into now operates differently. It is not driven by pressure. It is guided by alignment. This is where divine provision becomes undeniable. Matthew chapter 6 verse 33 speaks about seeking first what is aligned with the kingdom and everything else being added. This is no longer a concept for you. It is becoming your reality, because as you have shifted your identity, your direction, and your trust, what is meant for you is now able to reach you without obstruction. You will begin to see that what you once struggled to obtain now arrives with less resistance. Not because you are doing less, but because you are doing what is aligned. There is a difference between effort that comes from pressure and effort that comes from purpose. One drains you, the other sustains you. Think about moments in your past where you worked hard but felt no real progress. Where you invested time and energy but saw little return. That was not because you lacked ability. It was because you were operating outside of alignment. Now compare that to what is beginning to happen. When you move in the right direction, even small actions produce noticeable results. When you engage with the right people, connections form naturally. When you follow what feels guided, outcomes begin to support your movement rather than resist it. This is the shift. Chosen one. There is also something else you will begin to recognize. Your presence itself starts to change how people respond to you. You may notice that people listen to you differently, that your words carry more weight, that your energy influences environments without you trying. This is not something you are forcing. This is what happens when identity is fully aligned. Authority is not something you declare. It is something that is recognized, and as your authority strengthens, so does your impact. You will find yourself stepping into spaces that once felt out of reach, not because you are trying to prove something, but because you now belong there. You will begin to engage in conversations that align with your growth rather than limit it. You will find yourself thinking differently, responding differently, expecting differently, because your standard has changed. And once your standard changes, your reality begins to reflect it. There will still be moments of challenge. This is important to understand. Alignment does not remove all difficulty. It removes unnecessary struggle. It removes cycles that do not serve you. It removes resistance that comes from misdirection. But growth will always require expansion. You may face moments where you are asked to step into something that feels bigger than what you are used to. Opportunities that require you to trust your capacity. Situations that require you to act with confidence even before you feel fully ready. This is not pressure. This is expansion, because what is being prepared for you is not small, it is not limited, it is not temporary, it is connected to purpose. And purpose always requires growth. You are no longer being prepared, you are being positioned, and positioning brings visibility. This means that what was once hidden in your life will begin to be seen, not for attention, but for alignment. The gifts you carried quietly will begin to express themselves openly. The understanding you developed in silence will begin to influence others. The strength you built through struggle will begin to support opportunities that require it. Nothing was wasted. Every part of your journey is now becoming useful. Anointed One, this is also where responsibility becomes clear. Because as things begin to align and opportunities begin to open, you are no longer operating at the same level of awareness as before. You understand more, you see more, you discern more, and that means your choices carry greater impact. You can no longer move without intention. You can no longer ignore what you know. You can no longer treat your path as something uncertain, because it is no longer uncertain, it is unfolding, and you are walking in it. There will be moments where you pause and realize how far you have come, moments where you recognize that the person you used to be would not have been able to stand where you are now. Moments where you see clearly that what once confused you now makes sense. That is confirmation. Not just that things are changing around you, but that you have changed within. And as that continues, something even greater begins to take shape. Not just movement, not just alignment, but manifestation at a level that reflects your true identity. Because what is coming next is not just about opening doors. It is about stepping fully into what those doors were always leading you toward. What you are stepping into now is not just a new phase of life, it is the full expression of who you were always meant to be. Chosen One. This is where everything begins to come together in a way that no longer feels fragmented. The confusion that once surrounded your path begins to clear. The questions that once followed you begin to lose their weight, and in their place, something stronger takes hold. Certainty. Not the kind of certainty that comes from having every answer, but the kind that comes from knowing who you are. Because once identity is fully accepted, everything else organizes around it. You are no longer searching for direction the way you once did. You are moving with it. You are no longer trying to understand your worth. You are operating from it. You are no longer waiting for confirmation from the outside. You are becoming the confirmation within your own life. And that changes everything. Anointed One, this is what it means to return to your inheritance. not something distant, not something reserved for another time, but something that begins within you and then extends into everything connected to you. Your thoughts shift, your decisions shift, your expectations shift. And as those shifts take place, your reality begins to reflect them with precision. This is not luck. This is alignment reaching completion. You will begin to notice that the things you once desired no longer feel out of reach. Not because they suddenly appeared without process, but because you've become the version of yourself that can hold them. The growth you went through was not just to prepare opportunities for you. It was to prepare you for the opportunities, and now you're meeting them. There is a quiet confidence that begins to settle in you at this stage. Not loud, not forced, but steady. You move without needing to announce it. You decide without needing approval. You act without needing to justify your direction. That confidence is not ego. It is alignment, because when you know who you are, you no longer need to prove it. Chosen one. There will be people who notice this shift in you and will not understand it. Some will be inspired, some will be confused, some may even try to question it. But their understanding is no longer your responsibility. You are not here to convince others of your identity. You are here to live it. And as you do, the right people will recognize it without explanation. You will begin to attract individuals who are aligned with your purpose, not just your presence. Conversations will carry depth. Connections will carry intention. Opportunities will carry meaning. You will no longer be surrounded by what drains you, but by what expands you. This is the result of alignment maintained over time. And with that comes something even more powerful: impact. Your life will begin to influence others in ways you did not plan, not because you are trying to lead, but because you are living in truth. People will see your growth and begin to question their own limitations. They will observe your movement and begin to reconsider their own direction. They will feel your presence and recognize that something is different. That difference is not performance, it is authenticity. You're no longer trying to become something, you're expressing what has always been within you, and this is where your purpose becomes visible. Not as a single moment, but as a continuous unfolding. You will begin to see how your experiences, your challenges, your growth all connect to something greater than yourself. You will begin to understand why certain paths did not work, why certain doors remained closed, why certain seasons felt so difficult. Because they were never meant to be your destination, they were preparation for where you are now. There is also a deeper level of peace that settles in you at this stage. Not because everything around you is perfect, but because you are no longer in conflict with yourself. The internal resistance that once pulled you in different directions begins to quiet. The need to question every step begins to fade. The urgency to prove something to the world begins to dissolve. You are no longer divided, you are aligned. And from that alignment, everything begins to flow with greater clarity. Anointed One. This is the moment where you stop looking back at what you lost and start recognizing what you have gained. You stop measuring your life by what did not happen and start seeing what has been built within you. You stop identifying with the version of yourself that was in survival and start standing in the version of yourself that is in authority. This is your return, not to a place, but to your true identity. And as you stand in it, you begin to realize something that was always true. You were never ordinary. You were never misplaced. You were never forgotten. You were always being prepared. Every step, every delay, every challenge, every moment of doubt, all of it was leading you here, to this awareness, to this alignment, to this activation. And now that you are here, there is nothing left to wait for. You are no longer becoming. You are chosen. One. This is your moment of alignment, your appointed time, where what was hidden is now rising into clarity. You are not leaving this message the same way you entered it. Something has shifted within you. And that shift is already echoing into your life, positioning things in ways you cannot yet fully see. Anointed One, you are not waiting for your destiny anymore. You are standing in it. This is your Kairos moment, a divine intersection where heaven meets your obedience, where preparation meets activation. Even now, unseen doors are aligning, conversations are being arranged, and opportunities are moving toward you with quiet precision. Walk forward in peace, not pressure. Move with confidence, not doubt. You are not striving for your inheritance. You are stepping into it. Just as it is written in Isaiah chapter 60 verse 1, "Arise and shine, for your light has come, and your time is now." If this message has spoken to your spirit, let it be sealed. Write Amen in the comments as your declaration of alignment, your agreement with what is already unfolding. And if you feel led, remain connected here so you do not miss the next message that is meant to guide you further along your path. Chosen One, stay aware, stay grounded, stay expectant. What is coming will not confuse you. It will confirm everything your soul has already known.